Well, hello, everybody. This is kind of getting to be the new normal, I guess, so to speak. Everybody doing something from home. Good thing I've got pussy willows in behind me so I don't have to water them and I won't kill them like I do most flowers. But you know what? We are in a very interesting week here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We have a lot of things that have opened up, so we're going to hear firsthand from some of the institutions that got to open up this week. And also, we are going to celebrate volunteers and volunteers from all sectors. And these are the people that truly make up Winnipeg and Manitoba. And we always want to remain friendly Manitobans. So we are going to celebrate all of you that have volunteered in this great year and many more years to come. So let's invite all of the wonderful ladies. And here is the Hue virtual chat for Tuesday, May 5th. Hello, hi Kelly. Hi Charlotte. Hi Maureen. Hi Nanette, and there's Catherine, and there's Susie. Hello, hello. How is everybody?
Hi.
Hi.
So far, so good.
Yes. Oh, and Kirsten's here too, great. Well, you know what? I have some familiar faces and I do have some new ones. So I'm just gonna go and say hello to Kelly Thornton. Thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. And wow, quite a year for you, hasn't it been? Not anything what you expected at the beginning. Maybe just need to unmute.
Oh.
There you go. We got you now.
I think I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you now.
Fantastic. Yes. Yeah, this time last year I was packing up to drive across the country and start my dream job. And I said, I think it would have been a crazy experience if it was this, this crisis was happening as I entered the job. At least I had a fantastic season. Right up until March 13th, we were really flying high and having a great season. So, I say now, I thought I was brought here for, one, the big dream of putting my stamp on things and bringing great theater to the city. And now I realize I'm here to guide the company through the crisis with Camilla. It's a pretty surreal time for us, but you have to kind of accept it and plan for the various scenarios of the future, as I'm sure all of my colleagues on this Zoom chat will reveal. We're all kind of trying to prepare for multiple scenarios and accepting every day as it comes.
Yeah, no, and we'll get into this because now it's just trying to figuring out what's the next step or what's it going to look like, and everybody can second guess. But just to fill you ladies in, is that Kelly is the artistic director for the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre. When she came, it was like a 1-2 punch with her and Camilla, females right up there, and like she said, a very exciting season. And now all of this happened. I guess, Kelly, what was it like when you had to make that decision to shut down, or was it just like a no-brainer? Like,
it was March 13th, Friday the 13th. I think I think we will all remember that day. Our show, A Thousand Splendid Suns, was on the stage, ready to tech. It was all the actors were in their costumes for the dress rehearsal, and we were upstairs. Our colleagues in Alberta at the Citadel Theatre in Edmonton the night before had shut down As You Like It, which was on our stage in January. And I was like, wow, that's a major moment. But I don't think, I think it was, everything moved so quickly on the 13th of March that, we started in the morning thinking one thing and promising that, we're going to keep our eye on the news. And by 4 o'clock, we had to cancel the show. And there was a lot of tears, a lot of it's a very painful thing. Art is it's beautiful and fragile and perfect, and we were so ready to launch it to the world, and then everybody had to just be sent home. So, and then, you know, 2 weeks later, we were looking into the future of starting the rehearsals for Legend of Georgia McBride, and we knew that was going down too. And March 13th seems like, you know, 7 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly the world has changed and adapted to this new normal. And then the Fringe, you know, the Fringe went down recently.
Yeah, to talk a little bit about that, because I mean, that, I mean, is like what hundreds of volunteers look forward to, you know, in the summer, you know.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to Chuck this morning because I said,
Yeah.
you know, I want to give some numbers to see the scope of the volunteerism. So Chuck sent me some numbers. He said there's 827 volunteers in the Fringe Festival, covering 4,719 shifts for a total of 18,750 hours. So that's a lot of volunteer power. And that's just in the Fringe. I mean, we have 750 volunteers in our main stage and warehouse season. So certainly disappointing a lot, you know, beyond the artists, the volunteers, and the general community that looks forward to the Fringe and looks forward to all the festivals that our city has to offer in the summer.
Well, we've got some really big thinkers. So I think, you know, before we leave today, maybe we'll have an idea on what we can do to celebrate and, you know, give a little bit back to these volunteers to make them feel like, you know, that their work is very much appreciated, and we'll go forward. But I'm going to open it up to somebody that's got a very exciting week this week, right, Catherine? Catherine's from Winnipeg. Hi.
Hi.
So no doubt it's been a little chaotic at the art gallery for this opening.
It's been hectic. You know, we were really, really pleased to be able to move quickly after the announcement from the provincial government last week, with some of the restrictions being raised. But yeah, it's been an effort. We had a plan in place, and I think the thing about the WAG is it's such a big space that we are able to maintain the physical distancing, but we're also able to take out those high touch areas of the exhibitions where, you know, depending on how your building is set up, that's easier for some than others. And so yeah, we're just opened this morning at 10 and starting with a free opportunity for frontline workers. We really wanted to do something, just something small to really express our gratitude for everything they've been doing and are doing during this time, and then opening to the public on Thursday. But you'll see there's, you know, markers set up. We have to limit the number of people. It's 10 square meters per person in the building, and that includes staff. So I'm at home right now, going in this afternoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I'm glad that we could there's so little right now to do. So to be able to provide a place where the community can come for inspiration.
Yeah. And then I guess you're going to be having a lot of the permanent collection on display.
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be nice too. So,
Yeah,
because that's, again, it's supposed to be a stellar year for the art gallery, the opening of the Inuit Art Center. And yeah, like, I mean, that's.
well, in so many, like just looking at the people on this call, yeah, when we closed, we were just about to open this show celebrating L.L. Fitzgerald, who is Manitoba's member of the Group of Seven, and he's does captivating paintings. We've got some of his drawings, and it was like opening in 2 weeks. So that's actually ready to go, and it's a partnership with the McMichael Art Collection in Ontario. So it is our nod to Manitoba 150, but we had a huge show called A Hard Birth, looking at the Métis perspective, and that one we hadn't started installing yet, and it's an expensive show. But luckily, we've been able to postpone it to 2022. So it's not canceled, it's just postponed.
Yeah. And
But
now,
yeah, in the meantime, bringing out more from the collection, which is great because it's, you know, the community's collection. So it's, yeah, there's lots to draw on there for sure. And we're kind of looking at ways to hopefully engage some artists in and celebrating what they've been able to do during these times of isolation.
Yes, I know. Like, there's got to be some inspiration from all of this too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so now I'd like to say hi to Maureen. I haven't seen you for ages. She represents the Canadian Museum of Human Rights. And Maureen, you're not opening, correct? Or not right away?
Yeah, we're not opening right away. I guess we want to take our time and make sure that we've got opening everything safely for our staff and for the visitors. I'm really impressed that the WAG's able to jump off the mark. So we'll be looking at what they're able to do and copying you on all your successes as you go forward. But I agree with Catherine that I think that, you know, there's people need the arts and culture at this time as for their mental health. I mean, as a place to go and get new perceptions, reflection, and just get out of the house, for crying out loud. We've been in here so long. And so when we do open, we also are a very large space. So that's thankfully we can create those opportunities for social distancing as well. But yeah, we're probably gonna be opening closer to the end of June, start of July kind of thing.
Right, yeah, because you do have a lot of interactive galleries, and it's just managing people through that, because people will stop for a while, right, to read, or if they're doing a tour. It's not like you can just kind of keep on moving kind of thing. Question for you.
So we're trying different things with flow, you know, and plus I just want to follow up on the touch screens. I mean, unlike the WAG would have some of that, but we've got just hundreds of touch screens, and so they'll be off when we first open until we think of innovative things like maybe giving each person their own touch pin that they would hand in at the end or something like that. So we've got lots of art, lots of video, lots of point at things that can still be open, but it'll be a very different museum experience at first.
Oh, I know. Well, you have a gallery dedicated to COVID and the pandemic.
I don't think we can get it. That's not a bad idea, but these things take time, so it sure wouldn't be right off the hop.
No, we'll get back onto it. So Charlotte, hi.
Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning, and thank you for making all those wonderful connections. I will be busy on doing that and getting some more people on here. So this might help Kelly and maybe, well, obviously Catherine. We've had talks. Fundraisers now. Okay, galas are out, and the way of how people are going to donate, right? And what does that look like to still have a gathering? I'm just kind of comes to mind on the email that you sent me that Robin Priest spoke at the schizophrenia gala, and it was a virtual gala. So how did that work, and you know, how do you still manage to keep that kind of environment? You know, I mean, because we all love galas, and you know, the black and white ball, and you know, the art gallery ball. I mean, those are standards people look forward to.
Well, the Manitoba Schizophrenia Society had their Iris Gala virtually on Saturday night, and similar to what Kelly was saying, is all of a sudden it was like shut down, like MTC, and then what to do. So the donors and the contributors were really great about, you know, keeping their money flowing. It wasn't an interactive gala per se, where like the Zoom. It was just you logged on, you watched the pre-recorded messages, and then you could bid on the auction. And I was really pleased at the monies that were raised, and the donors really stepped up. So we were very, very thankful for that. They're, as every other organization, it's an important one, the work that they do in the community for mental health, and especially with them going really strong into peer support for all mental illness. That's their new mandate, as well as supporting those who have schizophrenia and family members. But the messaging continually was, this is the only year we're ever doing this. Like this, you know, we want to go back to the old, you know, we want the connectivity of people getting together. I mean, all those things that were missed. And the comments were heartfelt and missing seeing everybody. So
I know. Well, I even the opportunity to do this is like, wow, it's, you know, just that one step of, oh my God, seeing, you know, different faces other than my family, you know, for the last 7 weeks. So Susie, we're also I want to talk to you about volunteers. Now, we celebrated, Kelly had incredible numbers, you know, of how many hours of volunteering. Catherine, you know, Maureen, you know, I mean, all of these places value their volunteers. Now in this new kind of environment, Susie, what do you think the whole kind of willingness to give, to volunteer your time now, will there kind of be more of a distancing? Or it'll all become the same and we'll be friendly Manitobans, support everything?
I think that we're really lucky here in that we do have such an involved and dedicated volunteer base. And I'm sure that if we did a Venn diagram of all the people who volunteer at the various places, we'd see a lot of overlap in terms of who those giving people are, right? And I was actually thinking about volunteers yesterday on my walk, and just thinking about how much they contribute to everything that happens in this province and how heartsick they must be missing all the things that they love to do as well. You know, whether it's Folk Fest and MTC, Fringe Fest, all those things, Folklorama, all those things run on the power of volunteers, really. And I think, you know, we said last week that in this new reality that we're going to have post-COVID, I think we are going to see, like everyone said, I miss seeing people. I think you're going to see more people step up to be volunteers and to be there for these organizations that are run by volunteers and they're the lifeblood of these places. And in the sense of, you know, we need to keep these places going. We've seen how, you know, arts and culture and music have sustained us during this time. And that's one way that we can give back, as well as, you know, monetary donations. But that connection with that organization and giving back and being, you know, a part of it and helping other people feel at home in these organizations and in these spaces, I think will be really important to some.
Well, yeah, I think so too. And I don't know, ladies, I mean, oh, Kelly, what was the consensus, or have you done a consensus or a, you know, kind of a questionnaire or feeler for the volunteers? I mean, they're pretty dedicated, and I don't think they'll. Press you're muted again.
Sorry. We did an event in the fall with volunteers just before, like, late fall, November, a volunteer appreciation night, and they made me a cookbook of all of them of, you know, handwritten recipes. So these are like passionate people, and they were coming up to me, different people introducing themselves to me, saying, you know, I've been a volunteer for 40 years. I've been a volunteer, you know, like I knew John Hirsch, the founder of MTC. So these are people that, like, it's been their lifeblood, you know, this has been their lives. So, you know, I feel for them. I wrote after we canceled the Fringe, I was like, I need to reach out to the volunteer base, both the main stage and warehouse, plus the Fringers, just because I know they must be suffering. You know, I think passion is one thing, and I think health is the other, and some of them are older, and so, you know, there's a vulnerability in terms of their age group that is real. But I think, you know, I think we now have this kind of reflex inside of us to have the social distance. I walk a lot in my neighborhood, and we just kind of naturally back away from each other. So I think our bodies are starting to be really trained to understand how to not get too close. But, you know, like, theater is a very different beast than opening the museums and the galleries. I envy you guys, because getting 800 people into the main stage theater is a bigger challenge for us. And it certainly won't be, you know, probably even the second wave of openings. But yeah, like, I think the volunteers will be back for sure, because you know, when we're allowed to gather again and we feel safe, I know that they'll come back in droves, because they've been with the institution for as long as they can remember, and they love theater. So, well, and it's true what you say, Susie, that they're a moving volunteer corps between so many different organizations. There's overlap with these volunteers, that they really give so much to Winnipeg in so many different organizations. So it's pretty profound what they offer to us.
Well, we only hope to, because I know that in the arts and culture, the volunteer age bracket is older, you know, and we're always struggling to find the young ones. So maybe Maureen, because I'll switch over to the Human Rights Museum, you know, finding volunteers and finding that younger group that is going to take the torch and keep it going. That's a big secret, you know, that's a big secret to success for this whole volunteer movement. How does it work at the Human Rights Museum?
Oh, we really don't have that much problem getting those kind of volunteers. Like everyone else, I'd say there's a big core base that are a bit older, retired and wanting to give back. But I think perhaps the nature of the subject matter of the museum, there's a lot of young people who are very interested in social justice and human rights. And these days as well, most students need volunteer experience for their resumes, etc. And so we try lots of different things in summers. You know, we even had younger teenagers, children of staff members were able to volunteer when they were like 15 and that. So important, that diversity. Also getting people with different abilities in as volunteers is super important, and that's another focus that we're really trying to see, so that people can come and sort of see themselves reflected. Diversity and you know, racial diversity, gender diversity, all that kind of thing is important.
Yes, well, we definitely have to point our attention to those groups too. Nanette, you've got some teens now. I mean, volunteering, you know all about it, but how do your kids feel about volunteering?
Oh, they love volunteering. My daughter, in fact, she started at the dance studio. Like, this is a smaller scale, of course. At the dance studio, she volunteers as an assistant in the classes, and now she's gone up to actually being part of the junior staff, and she's working her way up that way. It's a really great way to get your foot in when you really want to get it in touch with the organization and you know, see how it runs, see where you can fit, see where you can help, and work your way into that. But going back to teens volunteering in the bigger sense, Grant Park, where my children go, is we're very much into performing arts. My daughter's a dancer, and she and many of her castmates were absolutely heartbroken when we had a production of Hello Dolly that we were preparing for, and when we had to cancel that, the kids were just absolutely devastated. But this is also a really great group of kids who are very outgoing, who are you know, who would love to keep at that, the arts, keep their foot in the door, keep them active in that. And so they are a great, like, they would, if they knew how to get into volunteering in different, like, you know, for the Fringe, for the Art Gallery, for, you know, Theater Center, absolutely they would be right in there. This is a really large group of kids, and yeah, if we could find a way to get the word out to them and let them know, hey, this is where you can go to get your fix. Because I know many of them are, they really, once everything is okay again, this is a really strong group of kids who would really like to get out there and get into the environment again, for sure.
Well, we'll get you connected with Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Fantastic. Here's your problem solved with all the young people. Oh,
yes.
But, you know what, I guess too, the whole idea of volunteering and commitment, but I mean, even like Kirsten, it's the mental health and wellness too, right? And, you know, we're talking too about being isolated and, you know, crossing the street when somebody else is crossing. And, you know, do you think that some of us will have kind of trepidation, you know, once we're out of this and trying to get back, or?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think we're going to be watching to see what everybody else is doing around us, for sure. And, you know, touching on that volunteer end of things, a volunteer opportunity is such a gift to someone who has struggled with some mental health concerns and is starting to find their ground and get comfortable in certain settings again. Whether there's so many great organizations you can volunteer, somehow that idea of volunteering, getting yourself back in the world, is less daunting as, having that job where you got to be there at a certain time. And so I think that piece is going to be missed as well. Yes. When people are trying to find their new normal and people are trying to kind of get back to that new normal. And, as far as the young people go, so interesting talking about the social justice. There's so many fantastic young people that are so committed to social justice. I have a 22-year-old who is all about that. And she has been volunteering since middle school, like everything she could get her hands on. And then life gets a little busier and they have less time. Yeah, I love hearing about the young volunteers and people that are still trying to make a difference. And I'm sad for them that opportunity isn't going to be there for a little while, or not like it was.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, ladies, will our values change? Catherine, will your values change? What's important?
Maybe we'll just appreciate being out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, just echoing what everyone said, that volunteers are really the heart and soul of the WAG, and really had a lot to do with getting, some of the big institutions started in the first place. Mm-hmm. They were like basically run by volunteers up until we got big enough to have more staff, and really laid the groundwork for many of our programs, like school programs, the shop, and just recognizing the power of art and culture to benefit the community. And so we've been staying in touch. And Tracy, you're an amazing volunteer for the WAG, and it was so lovely to see Ainsley Cockshott and Henny Corin on your series recently, because they've also just, to bring that creativity and bring this outside perspective in to make an organization or a group more relevant to the community. Henny, actually with Hazel Boris, activated Art in Bloom a couple of years ago, this like major floral art extravaganza, and it was really community led. So they're bringing events that, we'd never be able to do for everyone to enjoy without. And so we've been really happy to see and to see what MTC and CMHR have done in terms of their digital programs during this time. It's so inspiring, and we've been doing the same with WAG at Home. And I've been noticing a lot of the volunteers are some of the ones who are really engaging most with content. I know Ainsley basically had a whole gallery of her at-home creations, and just so uplifting to see. And so that's certainly been one way to stay connected during this time.
Yeah. And then start getting back to Kelly now. We haven't even touched on the actors, the acting community that have now, a lot of them have lost their livelihoods. I mean, especially with the Fringe, so many of those outside things that have happened. What can we do, or what has happened to that community? Are they, doing stuff online? I mean, doing little,
Yes. Yeah, I think it's been, I think initially there was a huge worry in the performing arts, because they're very vulnerable actors. They are not, they're independent contractors. And so they're not usually able to access employment insurance. And so, I had multiple colleagues that had, suddenly $75,000 just dropped out of their year because they had, consecutive gigs lined up. And so luckily CERB came into effect, and that lifted that community of actors that were really facing into the unknown, into what food banks and to lose their houses. And, these are working people with families. So,
yeah.
So I was really relieved that there was government support for them, and that they could access a kind of employment insurance for them.
Right.
keep going. I think artists are being creative all around the world in terms of, putting themselves online, doing things. MTC launched Backstage in the Peg last week, which is like a kind of pan Winnipeg theater arts magazine, to celebrate the community as a whole. But I think I know there's a multitude of Zoom readings and Zoom performances that you can tune into. I think everyone craves being back in a room. I was actually going for a walk the other day, and I just started crying because I thought I envisioned myself doing my first curtain speech on the John Hirsch main stage, the first performance back, and I just started weeping because I just think that is going to be the most magical moment for people to be able to be together again and to experience theater, for the actors too, because the living arts is very different than film. You're in constant communication with your audience, and it's a communal experience. It's an exchange between the actors and the audience that is like nothing else, and you can't get it in Zoom. You can get parts of performance and you can get parts of the art inside of our screens, but you can't get that hit that is immediate, where I'm sure you've heard this before, but your heart rate starts, the heart rate of 800 people starts to beat together. And that's a really important thing that is missing for people in people's lives right now. So,
And Kelly, I think it's safe to say that we'll all be crying with you.
I know.
I cry already. I cry at everything. I cry at the symphony. I cry at Rainbow Stage, like already before. So when this,
now we're just gonna bawl our eyes out while we watch.
No
with
mascara,
joy in our hearts.
I want to know, what was the speech? What was your part? What was your speech that you did?
What's my opening speech?
Yeah.
Oh, just it was like literally just the words "Welcome back." Like we are so I think we're all suffering from like low-grade depression, situational kind of depression from what has happened, and not being able to actually mentally process it all, because we've all done our part and retracted from our society and we're sheltering in place, but we're suffering through it quietly. We have grief that we can't be together. And so, just it, like literally the words "welcome back." I'm so pleased to welcome everybody into, it seems surreal, but it's the day will come, and hopefully sooner than later. We're obviously, we're very lucky. I moved from Toronto to here, and Toronto's I talked to colleagues in Toronto, and they have a very different mindset. Like we're very lucky to be in Winnipeg. We have,
Well, they're not even open yet.
I know, and we have so few cases now, and I think we got behind it so quickly, with only 3 cases reporting at that point, that on March 13th, that I think I feel like we can recover sooner than some places in this country, and I have to remain positive and focused that we are I know we will come back in droves, because from moving here, from being an outsider to Winnipeg and coming back to Winnipeg, coming into Winnipeg, just I'm blown away at the commitment and passion of the volunteer corps and the audiences and the philanthropists. This is a community that has is so proud of the arts and culture in the city. And they, I think I'm sure we all know how our supporters are rallying around us and sending us emails, and I still have subscribers subscribing, and donors donating, and that's a community that is like committed to the success of our organizations into the future. So
and well, you know what? If we can get on the board and open all of the arts and culture before the sports, then But you might get that little, yeah, Maureen's giving a thumbs up. So Charlotte, so now spinning off of what Kelly said, that we're all kind of in this semi kind of depression, the D word. What are your feelings and comments?
Well, Kirsten and Robin and I talk a lot with the peer supporters that we have been training or we're supporting, that this is the great leveler. It's the whole world has experienced some form of mental health challenge through this. And so many of us truly believe that there's going to be more empathy towards those who are struggling going forward, because those comments of, just snap out of it or just go for a walk, you'll feel better, have new meaning with so many more people who have gone through struggles themselves. And it's also a big time for people who've struggled to come forward and say, hey, I've been living with this for so long, and I have some tools and techniques and some ideas that maybe will help support those who are going through depression and mental health challenges for the first time ever. So the peer movement and the mental health orgs are championing that there's more conversation, stigma is decreasing, lots of great stuff is coming out. So we're pulling the gems out of this pandemic in the mental health world. And then we go back to that, changing the languaging around, instead of saying like the social distancing, we're saying social connectedness in spite of physical distancing. So really trying to stay together through Zoom or phone calls or whatever, just to stay socially connected. So,
well, Catherine too, the Maud Lewis exhibition, it'd be great timing. Yeah, so give us a little bit of if there's any updates and what's going to happen with that.
We're just right in the thick of it right now. This is another big show on loan from the McMichael Gallery, and it's celebrating Maud Lewis, who was better known as a folk artist, but just a very talented artist who did deal a lot with mental health, and she grew up in Nova Scotia. So we thought, just considering all the tragic events from a week or so ago, how relevant this show would be. It was scheduled to open in January, and we're kind of just trying to figure out what the dates will be.
Yes.
We'll know soon, but certainly we're hoping it'll still come.
Yeah. And on some good news, Kelly, I wanted to say congratulations to Kimberly Roberson. I think Kimberly's gone to Stratford now. So that's a big...
She was named the Associate Artistic Director of the Shaw Festival.
Oh, the Shaw Festival. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And she was at Grant Park. Hi, Kimberly.
Excellent.
That's how old I am, because I remember when she was just starting out. But yeah, I saw that a while back, and that's such great news, and all of this. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears. How did you spend your Monday? Did you go out to a patio? Did you go to a hairstylist? Susie's going, no. Is this too soon?
I actually canceled. I had a hair appointment for today.
Yeah.
My stylist, because I was on the first day that she canceled, I was on the first list of people to call when her salon reopened. Yeah. And I initially said yes, I would take the appointment, because I just didn't know, what all of this would mean. And I thought, okay, I have an appointment later on this month if anything changes. And I actually texted her last night and said, you know what, I can't do it. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I just don't feel right. I just don't feel safe enough. I have an immunocompromised person in my immediate household. You know what? The grays, they're right there, ladies. Look at that. See? And you know what? It's not important enough. It's just not. And I'm still only leaving the house for essentials, which is like grocery shopping. And for me, I'm still not comfortable with whatever normal they're trying to make us think is happening right now. Still not happening for me.
No.
I was thinking about that today, because the museum actually did a social media postings on Twitter and Facebook yesterday saying patios are open today. What are you worried about? What are you hopeful for? And there was quite a good response, but quite a lot of people were going, no, stay home. And it makes you think, well, obviously after 2 months of people saying stay home, stay home, stay home, and you're internalizing that, you can't just switch gears and pivot and go, yeah, I'm out there supporting the businesses.
Yep.
So for all of us contemplating opening, there's that fine balance, right, between what do we offer, or and if we do, is anyone going to even come? Because you gotta, you know, it's a very mental process going on here. So I'm just glad that I decided to let my gray grow out before this even.
Exactly. See,
There we go.
ahead of the curve, Maureen.
Oh, Nanette, I love it, Nanette. Yes, she's deaf, no shame. Oh, well, you know what?
I know I did an Instagram poll on my story yesterday and asked everyone else, you know, as everything opened, I said, do you have a hair appointment booked this week? Or are you going to take a hair appointment, whatever it was? And over 90% of people said no.
Wow.
So I was impressed by that. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot of people, like Maureen said, who are on that same page that are just like, nope, it's too soon. It's only for essentials that people are going out. And I think that's great that, you know, like Kelly said, or Catherine has said, like, we're lucky to live here because people have gotten the message. And I think that's a really good thing.
No, that's true. I was just wondering, what if, I mean, I think theater, you're right, Kelly, and, you know, the sporting events are going to be the last to actually probably open. Do you feel that there's going to be some new restrictions? Like, do you think that maybe the audience number is limited? Maybe, you know, you're not sitting right at the front of the stage, you're sitting further back, you know, there's going to be that kind of feeling. Museums like the Human Rights Museum and the WAG, like they're much larger facilities, but I'm just wondering, I don't know, we all love live concerts and live performances in theaters. What do you think, Kelly?
Yeah, you know, I know the concert hall, the government asked us to prepare, you know, how is what's your map for reopening? What procedures would you have in place and protocols? And, you know, I know the concert hall tried to kind of, you know, talk about a socially distanced audience, you know, everybody's 3 seats apart. It's more challenging than it seems, though. Number one, we have to rehearse a show, so you're putting, you know, a team of actors, sometimes 20 actors together in a room, rehearsing a musical. I mean, there's, you know, the stories of the choir that everyone attended that in the States, and they all got sick. So it's a lot. It's easy to put that down on paper, but really to you know, if you have to go to the bathroom and you're in the middle of the row,
yeah,
like how do you get out? Or somebody starts coughing, it's like
oh, I know. Yeah, everybody leaves.
Fire. Yeah, I think I have my doubts that socially distanced theater can actually work, because you have to funnel them through the lobby, and it's impossible to funnel 800 people through a lobby unless you have like waves of arrival time, like on an airplane, you know, you're in section A, B, or C, and you arrive at a certain time. But all of that is like, it's a logistical nightmare. And it's, you know, obviously we're running the numbers, we're doing our due diligence in terms of trying to see if that, you know, if that is actually an option.
Right.
I think the smaller theaters, like, you know, our warehouse stage, or you know, PTEs, they might have a different, there's a different path, I think, for the smaller theaters, but an 800 seat is our biggest obstacle in terms of, you know, when will we be able to gather at those numbers. But, you know, like our season is 6 months out, so a lot can happen in 6 months. And, you know, I don't want to, you know, I know Broadway is talking about not really regathering until 21.
Yeah.
But again, we're in Manitoba. Our numbers are very different, you know, and so I don't want to jump the gun and make a decision too soon, because I want to see how it rolls, because so much happens. I mean, I think all of us have been through this where we realize, like, that's why I say March 13th seems like 7 years ago. You know, even 2 weeks passing seems like we know so much more than we did 2 weeks ago. So, things are going to change. I'm really hopeful that the schools go back in the fall. Because if schools go back, then I think we can.
We can get through this. Yeah.
But I'm also realistic. Like, I know there's a study in the States that surveyed audiences, and they're different. The Americans are in a different world, but they said, 65% said that they what would make you feel safe to return to a theater, and they said a vaccine, 65%. So that's a real number, and that's a reality that we might just have to face.
Do you think do you think there will be a vaccine? There was never a vaccine for SARS.
I know, and
they're working on some trials already.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I feel like people. I feel like I'm giving all my good energy to the scientists of the world that are in the labs right now. I don't think this is an unprecedented time for all of us in the world that society has shut down globally. So I think there's a lot of scientists working to try and crack the code. But developing a vaccine also, it doesn't happen overnight. You got to do trials. Anyway.
Well.
Stay positive, people. Stay positive.
Very positive. Yeah, we can hardly wait to get to the theater, and we know that we can come visit the WAG, and then shortly this summer the Human Rights Museum will open up, and I guess we can all share in those good things. I guess moving forward though, what would your thoughts be on, I guess, what do you think your new normal will be like? Will you freely go into all of these places, or will you pick and choose where you want to go as we slowly, plod back? And you know what, I think, again, we'll all be fine, but I kind of look at what 9/11 did and how it affected air travel. Mm-hmm. And here we are in 2020, and we're still, there's still big time regulations. So, kind of think about what you think at the end of all this, what new restrictions will be, because there will be.
And the thing with that, Tracy, is that because I feel so overwhelmed already, mm-hmm. and so, I can't remember who was saying it, but I vacillate between extreme optimism and extreme despair. So I try not to guess what the unknowns are, in the sense of trying to figure out what that might be, because I feel like if I'm wrong, I'm only going to be disappointed again. Mm-hmm. And so I try to meter out my optimism with, any little piece of news that comes out that gives me any kind of glimmer of hope to what things might look like. And even today, there was an article about what travel might look like. And it's you know what? I cannot look at that right now. I just can't. We were supposed to be in Vancouver next week to see the Stones for our anniversary. Mm-hmm. My husband just canceled got our air miles back today. And it was just you know what? This is heartbreaking. I cannot give the mental energy to try to think about what might happen when they're going to tell me what is going to happen. And it's completely what I did not think of. So to me, it's an exercise in futility and energy that I need to reserve for what I do know versus what I will never know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think the point about travel is a good one, because in an industry like ours that's reliant on tourism and travel, and we're working with our partners at Tourism Winnipeg and Travel Manitoba, and they're all saying, and I've been on a couple of webinars lately too that agree that it's going to be stages. First, it's going to be people just visiting in their own cities, and then for a long time, just day drives, people within a day's drive of things. So getting back to full-on travel is going to take a really long time, actually. And so we're going to have to focus around that new normal as well, in terms of our expectations for who our visitors are and where we ourselves are going to be planning to go.
Yeah, no. What about you, Nanette?
Oh, me. I am.
Oh.
I love
this. Yeah.
I live it. Before all of this, I'd already been very picky about where I'm going to go, because I'm the kind of person that just, don't want to waste my time, right? I can't just go and wander around. And it's and I completely agree about the travel, because I'm still at that point where, okay, what if I go somewhere, I travel somewhere by plane, and then suddenly this thing goes out again and I'm stuck there. I mean, that's where my mind goes. I'm very much like Susie, like just back and forth between, well, okay, optimistic, but
Yeah.
you know, I can only take it one day at a time. See where we are today. No, I did not go anywhere yesterday. I did not want to, you know, it's for me, getting out and life as usual will take a very, very, very long time. I'm with everyone who says this is, it's still unsafe. I'm not ready. I don't think we should be opening up anytime soon. I think that, and people I associate with agree. Like, there are, despite what everyone sees on TV, on social media, and anything, people do not want to go out. They just don't. This is a big thing. This is huge, and the safety of people, personal safety is still first and foremost, 100%.
Yeah.
No, home is good right now.
No, well, yeah, it's true. I don't know, like Kirsten too. I mean,
I'm listening to all this conversation, and I'm thinking, do I actually share that I did go out yesterday with my 19-year-old daughter, and we did venture to see what was open and what was not? And I think the point is that in our society, we have a lot of people who are absolutely not ready to venture out, and that's a good thing. And we also have some folks that are ready to venture out cautiously and see what's going on, and that's a good thing as well. I can tell you that I went to Polo Park. Everything's closed. It's the softest reopening because nothing's open. Like, out of all the stores in Polo Park, there's maybe 5 stores that are open, and it's nobody's there. So that's a good thing. The good news for my daughter was Urban Outfitters was open, so she was in heaven, and that was good for her. And
like, I mean, so are you allowed to touch the clothing, or?
yeah,
like,
you know what? They had it set up so the entire mall, which was empty, nobody was there, was set up so well in the sense that everything had arrows. Every store that you walked into, you had to sanitize your hands. All the change rooms are closed. Huge 60-day return policy. So if you can touch it, but you can return it. When it returns, it sits for 3 days before it goes back out. So it's really, really cautious. But I think this mass opening that everyone's thinking about is just not gonna. It's not happening, and it's not going to be an issue. And it's not Boxing Day. Like, it's just it's not. And that's because we have so many different personalities, right? For me, I'm ready to kind of venture out cautiously a little bit, but yeah, we don't have to worry about any mass anything because everything's still closed. Yeah.
We also have to remember there are people who need to get out for financial reasons or mental reasons or safety reasons if their home isn't a safe place. So not everyone's as lucky as us, I guess, to be able to stay at home if we need to.
Yeah, I was talking to my neighbor yesterday who's a school principal, and he was saying that he was talking about the comment that Palliser made about, well, it's already June, so we're not going to really worry about opening the schools, and just a very off-the-cuff comment, which would make sense to me. But he piped in and said, people don't realize that's a safe place for a lot of kids, and that's a place where they're going to get fed and they're going to get nourished, both with food and attention, and it's a safe place. So even if they could go back for 2 weeks, for some kids, that would make a huge difference. Yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with the camps. Because of course I think they're restricted to maybe, is it 12 or 15 kids?
Yeah, 16, I think. Yeah. And how are you going to do that, right? Because yeah, the WAG has summer camps.
We're working on it right now to figure out how we can maintain. We were able to launch we have art classes that are in partnership with the Winnipeg School Division in Seven Oaks for kids, and including some who are less fortunate. And so we're still launching those videos online. So it's just whether you've got access to a computer and can participate that way. But yeah, it's a tricky time.
I know, in summertime too. And even, does the Human Rights Museum run any summer programs, Maureen?
Well, we usually do. I don't think we're going to be contemplating that kind of thing this year we'll be thinking more just about getting visitors in general. And then the other thing is, even if we did make them available, would people come? So you have to balance all of those kind of considerations.
It's hard because I don't think most people will be going away on a summer vacation. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, right, Charlotte, here in the city, and in these gangs.
I was just listening to what Susie was saying. First of all, I wanted to add, and Kirsten, about the mental health piece, that you do what's comfortable for you and your family, and make sure you don't hold any judgment to others around you, because there's for somebody like in Susie's family where there's a compromised member, she has to be so respectful of what she does and supporting who lives with her, and that's such a big piece that will play out for the whole summer. I was talking about the traveling, and for me, back and forth, because my second home is in Kenora, and a lot of my friends, because my partner lives in Kenora, they're asking me what's going on there. None of the marinas are open. There's no way to get gas. So even if you could sneak off to your cottage, you can't get your boat, you can't pick up your boat, and you can't put gas in it. So, and they don't know when that's going to change. So for a lot of people, that their cottage is their self-care too, and part of, their holiday, and totally different. So very thankful. I don't have a cottage on an island, or I'd be contemplating swimming to it, but, or canoeing, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I'll just go back to another thing that Susie was talking about. Kirsten and I and Robin talk a lot about mental health being on a continuum from, having really good days to not so great days. Everybody has mental health. And the one thing that and Susie was touching on a little bit, is just the only thing we can control is ourselves and, what is going on now. And if you can focus somewhat on that, so you're not playing those uncertainties where you're having those incredible swings between, oh my God, to I'm really kind of enjoying this moment by myself or with my family. So I just lots going on. And then one other point is, in our peer support, we do peer support, online peer support for peer supporters. And yesterday's call, we had people from all over Canada, Nova Scotia, and BC, and all these different stages of what the different provinces are doing, and and the continual feel of I'm feeling safe to go back to work, or I'm not feeling safe, or things aren't in place, and then just really supporting people for making that choice that they're okay with those feelings, and and let's figure out how to support you best going forward with your job. So I don't know, I can talk all day about mental health. So.
Well, that's a big thing. And you know what, going forward and getting us into helping us readjust, we're all going to need a little bit of help. But you know what, thank you so much, ladies, for joining this conversation. It's just so good to see you, but also to hear what you're going through too. And I think if we can, we're going to continue this for now, because obviously we're still staying at home and not going anywhere. But I just encourage you to join in. Like on Thursday, we're celebrating moms. So I hope that all of you can bring a story about your mom, maybe a picture, love to see her, or actually I just invite her, you can send her the Zoom link and she can sign in and join in the conversation. That'd be awesome. So really look forward to seeing you all on Thursday too as well. Thank you so much, Kelly and Maureen and Catherine.
Thank you, Tracy.
We can hardly wait to support you all. Oh, and by the way, Kelly and Catherine, and maybe Maureen, I might have an idea. Maybe by summertime.
I like ideas.
Yes, I know you like ideas. But yes, as a treat, maybe a tribute to the volunteers. And we need a big space so we can social distance, but yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, well, I'll be in touch. I've got plenty of time. All right, thanks so much. Thank you, Charlotte.
Okay, bye everyone.
And thank you, Susie.
Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, bye-bye. Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.